Be quiet, Joel named Alamoth, son of Abijah. Only an ill-bred man like you can say such words, say the others angrily. The scribe blushes at the insult, but he controls himself, and he replies in a dignified manner. If nature has been hostile to my person, that has not impaired my intellect. Nay, by precluding many pleasures from me, it made a man of wisdom of me. And if you were holy people, you would not humiliate the man, but you would respect the sage. Well, let us talk of what matters to us. You must cure her, master, because in her frenzy she frightens people and offends the priesthood, the Pharisees, and us. If she had praised you, would you ask me to cure her? Jesus asks kindly. No, because it would serve to make people respectful to us. These capricious people who hate us in their hearts and sneer at us whenever they get a chance, replies one of the scribes, without realizing that he is falling into a trap. But would she still not be a sick person? Would I not have to cure her? Jesus asks kindly again. He sounds like a schoolboy who is asking his teacher what he has to do, and the scribes, blinded by pride, do not realize that they are giving themselves away. In that case, no. On the contrary, she ought to be left in her frenzy, and we should do everything in our power to make people believe that she is a prophetess, honor her, point her out. But if it were not true? Oh, master, once we do away with what she says against us, the rest would be of great assistance to raise the pride of Israel against the Romans again, and to humble the pride of the people against us. But we could not say to her, Speak thus, but do not say that, says Jesus resolutely. Why? Because those who rave do not know what they say. Oh, with money and some threats, we would achieve anything. Even the prophets were under control. Truly, I do not know about that. Because you do not know how to read between the lines, and because not everything has been written. But the prophetic spirit is not subject to orders, O scribe. It comes from God, and God cannot be brought over or frightened, says Jesus, changing tone. It is the beginning of his counterattack. But this woman is not a prophetess. It is no longer the time for prophets. It is no longer the time for prophets? Why not? Because we do not deserve them. We are too corrupt. Really? And you say so. A short while ago you judged her to be worthy of punishment because she said the same thing. The scribe is disconcerted. Another scribe comes to his rescue, saying, The time of prophets ended with John. They are of no use any more. Why? Because you are here to tell us the law and to speak to us of God. Also in the days of the prophets there was the law and wisdom spoke of God, and yet they were there too. But what did they prophesy? Your coming. Since you have come, they do not serve any more. Hundreds of times I have heard you, the priests and the Pharisees, ask me whether I was the Christ or not. And because I affirmed it, I was said to be a blasphemer and a madman, and you picked up stones to throw them at me. Are you not Sadok, the so-called golden scribe, says Jesus, pointing at the big-nosed scribe who had maltreated the woman after trying to deceive her? I am, so? Well, you, exactly you, have always been the first at Giscala and in the temple to stir up violence against me. But I forgive you. I remind you only that you did so saying that I could not be the Christ, whereas now you maintain it. And I remind you also of the challenge I issued to you at Kadesh. You will shortly see part of it being fulfilled. When the moon will come back to the phase in which she is now shining in the sky, I will give you the proof. The first one. You will have the second, when the corn which is now sleeping in the earth will shake its still green ears in the breeze of Nisan. But to those who say that the prophets are useless, I reply, And who will put limits to the Most High Lord? I solemnly tell you that there will always be prophets, as long as there are men. They are torches in the darkness of the world. They are the fireplaces among the ice of the world. They are the blares of trumpets that will wake drowsy people. They are the voices that remind men of God and of his truth, forgotten and neglected through time, and they bring the voice of God directly to man, arousing thrills of emotion in the forgetful, listless children of man. They will have other names, but the same mission, and the same destiny of human sorrow and superhuman enjoyment. Woe to men, if there were no such spirits, whom the world will hate, and God will love dearly. Woe to men, if they did not exist, to suffer and forgive, to love and work, obeying the Lord. the world would perish in darkness, frozen in deadly drowsiness, in idiocy, in wild, brutal ignorance. God will therefore give rise to them, and there will always be some of them. And who can order God not to do so? You, Zadok? Or you? Or you? I solemnly tell you that not even the spirits of Abraham, Jacob, and Moses, of Elijah and Elisha, could impose such a limitation on God, and God only knows how holy they were and what eternal lights they are. So you will neither cure the woman nor condemn her? No, I will not. And do you judge her to be a prophetess? Yes, an inspired prophetess. You are a demon like her. Let us go. It is not right to lose more time with demons, says Zadok, pushing Jesus rudely to move him aside. Many follow him. Some stay. Among the latter, the one whom they call Joel, Alamoth. And are you not following them? Asks Jesus, pointing at those going away. No, Master, we shall go away because night has fallen. But we want to tell you that we believe in your judgment. God can do everything, that is true. And as we fall into many sins, he can give rise to spirits who will call us back to justice, says a very elderly one. You are right, and your humility is greater than your knowledge in the eyes of God. Then remember me when you are in your kingdom. Yes, Jacob, I will. How do you know my name? Jesus smiles without replying. Master, remember us as well, say the other three. And Joel Alamoth, the last one to speak, says, And let us bless the Lord, who has given us this hour. Let us bless the Lord, replies Jesus. They greet one another and depart. Jesus joins his apostles and goes with them towards the woman who has resumed the position she had at the beginning, sitting all curled up on the protruding root. Her mother and father ask the master anxiously, So, is our daughter a demon? They said so before going away. She is not. Set your minds at rest, and love her, because her destiny is a very sorrowful one, exactly as all destinies like hers. But they said that is your judgment. They have lied. I do not lie. Be at peace. John of Ephesus comes forward with Solomon and the other disciples and says, Master, Zadok has threatened them. I tell you, them or her, them and her. Isn't that right? Yes, they said to us, to my wife and me, that if we cannot convince our daughter to be silent, there will be trouble for us. And they said to Sabiah, If you speak, we will denounce you to the Sanhedrin. We foresee sad days for us, but our hearts are at peace because of what you told us, and we will put up with the rest. But with regard to her, what shall we do? Tell us, Lord. Jesus is pensive. Then he replies, Have you no relatives far from Bethlehem? No, Master. Jesus is pensive, and then he raises his head and looks at Joseph, John of Ephesus, and Philip of Arbela. He says to them, You will set out with these people, and then from Bethlehem you will go with her and her trousseau to Era. You will tell Timoneus' mother to keep her in my name. She knows what it means to have a persecuted son. We will do that, Lord. It's a wise decision. Era is far and out of the way, say the three men. Sabia's father and mother kiss the master's hands, and they thank him and bless him. Jesus bends over the woman. He touches her veiled head and calls her gently, Sabia, listen to me. The woman raises her head. She looks at him and then falls on her knees. Holding his hand to her head, Jesus says, Listen, Sabia, you will go where I send you, to a mother. I would have liked to send you to my mother, but it is not possible. And continue to serve the Lord with justice and obedience. I bless you, woman. Go in peace. Yes, my Lord and my God, but shall I be able to speak when I have to? The Spirit who loves you will guide you according to the moment. Be sure of his love. Be humble, chaste, simple, and sincere, and he will not abandon you. Go in peace. He joins again the apostles and Zacchaeus with his friends, who had stopped a few paces away, holding back other curious people. Let us go. Night has fallen. I do not know how you have to go to Jericho. I do not know how you who have to go to Jericho will get there, particularly for the woman and her relatives, I would say. But if you think that it is a good idea, we will stay outside, and you and they will be able to sleep in the house until morning, suggests one of Zacchaeus' friends. A good idea. Go and tell Sabia to come with her relatives and the disciples. They will sleep in the house. I will stay with you. It is not a windy night. We will light some fires, and we will wait for dawn thus, while I teach you, and you listen to me." And he slowly sets off in the early moonlight.